This is U.S. Immigration Attorney Sharifa Tharpe. I'm here live to take your U.S. immigration related questions. Go ahead and put your questions in the comments now. Tonight, I'm going to talk to you about the registration requirement. I want to be able to clarify it for you as much as I can, but always remember that the information I'm giving here is not personalized legal advice. It is general information. So if you want information about how you can qualify to get your papers here, then you need to give us a call to ask to talk to us directly. We usually go through initially to see if there's an option we can help you with, and then we move forward to strategy. But the more urgent topic tonight is the registration requirement. So I did release a video clarifying who it covers. This is also available on the USCIS website, but I know the USCIS website may present information that seems a little like legal jargon because they talk about applications under certain statutory provisions, but don't actually list all of them out. One thing I want you to know, so this registration requirement, it does not mean that everybody who is here without your papers has to sign up for this. So that's the first thing I want you to know. There are certain individuals that are now going to be required to sign up for this registration. What they're saying is that if non-compliance with this means that they're going to target individuals who don't sign up, they're going to be placed on higher on the list for immigration enforcement, that there are possible civil penalties as well, or criminal penalties and fines. So the presentation of this registration requirement is extremely alarming, and it is scary. Yes, I understand it's very scary. Now, here are the people that it does not require to sign up, and it doesn't require these people to sign up because you've already in some way or shape or form already done some form of registration. So if you came here with a visa, even if you overstayed the visa, it does not cover you. You do not have to apply, register for this. If you came in on, if you are given parole, if you were given an I-94, I-94W, even if that time that you were given on the I-94 has now expired, you do not need to register. If you have a green card, if you're on a current visa where they took your fingerprints already, you do not need to register for this. Now, if you are applying for certain types of adjustment of status, then it's likely you wouldn't have to apply for this. The most common application is the I-485. So if you've applied for adjustment of status through VAWA, then you do not need to worry about registering for this. There are certain circumstances where you still have to register for this, and that's going to be if you enter the country without permission. That means you came into the country and while you were coming in, you weren't inspected, you weren't paroled, you weren't given any kind of permission. By the way, if you're going through removal proceedings already, you don't need to register for this. Now, if you came into the country without permission, so for example, the most common way is you came across the border, you came by boat, and you have not applied for adjustment of status or applied for any of the other applications that create an exemption, then you do have to register for this. So if you're here without your papers and you have not applied for any of those applications, you do have to register. Keep in mind, if you are, and this is the irony of this is crazy. Even if you are TPS or DACA, and you entered without permission, it doesn't qualify under the exceptions, right? Like, for example, if you applied for adjustment of status, you don't have to sign up. But TPS and DACA are not listed. So those individuals have to sign up for the registry. Um, Also, Canadians who were waived into the country. So a Canadian coming in who was not given an I-94 or any stamp in their passport has to now also register for this. Um, that is pretty much, those are pretty much the categories. Now, there are specifics at the USCIS.gov website, so you can check it out there, or you can even look at my video because I do give a list there as well. So a list of who needs to register, who doesn't have to register because they've already been registered under the law. So you can go to the TikTok page. I believe it's not on YouTube yet, but and I'll post it on YouTube, so you'll be able to see the video because it's more specific and it goes through all the categories. So if you came in, I think the takeaway here is if you came in with a visa, even if it expired, you don't have to sign up. However, if you came in without permission, uh, and you are not applying for one of the accepted applications, then you do have to apply you do have to register for this. Another thing I need to make very clear, because I know a lot of individuals are going to try to scam using this. And when you read the USCIS website, it's almost like, we're trying to accommodate you because you didn't have a way to register. So now we're giving you a way to register. It sounds very almost it sounds very encouraging, right? So now I know scammers are going to probably use this to their advantage to scam people. They're probably going to say things like, did you register? Because if you register, you'll get protection, you'll get your work permit, you'll get your social security number. This registering for it does not give any immigration status. The sole purpose of the registry is just to be able to keep track of people, certain immigrants who they can't keep track of right now because they may not have your information. So it is a way to keep track of individuals. Now, keep in mind that we do expect challenges to this, litigation to try to put a stop to this. I'll keep you posted when that happens. But in the meantime, this is a legal requirement. So what they're saying is now is go sign up for your USCIS account. So when the time is right and we're ready to open up the portals for you to register, it's there. So there is no registration right now. They're just preparing you for that. But what I would say here is take the time to evaluate your options, because obviously here, those who have already been documented in some way, either through adjustment of status, because they did even mention those who were even denied adjustment of status, don't have to register for this. The safest way for you to gain protection, because this registration does not do that for you, it doesn't give you protection. The safest way to get protection is to evaluate your options. So just make sure you're taking this time to, one, make sure you can get advice about whether you specifically have to register for this under legal requirements. What are the consequences of registering for this under the law? What are the consequences of failing to register for this under the law? And also being able to see if we can find an option for you to be able to apply. to be able to apply for options to get legal status here. So that is no, I do have great news. And the good news is we won a miracle case today. So we found out we won a miracle case today. So this was an extremely complicated marriage-based case. Our client came into the country 2 decades ago, fleeing his country, and fled the country, came into the country, and came through the border, and they went ahead and processed him, but they paroled him into the country. But my client spent many years not realizing that he was paroled into the country. So every other attorney turned him down because the other attorneys did not evaluate his entry properly. They just assumed he came in without permission, and they never really looked at the details. Well, that is definitely what we pride ourselves on, is really listening to our clients' stories to understand the circumstances. We did that. And based on that information, we were able to decipher that it's likely he got paroled. He just didn't realize it. Well, we got him his 10-year green card after 2 decades, over 2 decades of being here, and being told time and time again he did not have options, not even through the marriage-based process. He was told he could not get his papers through the marriage-based process, but we were able to find the facts in his case that did indeed qualify him to get his papers. So that has really, really helped energize me. It energized me for the many missions that I have to accomplish over many years until I retire. So I wanted to share that with you too. So if you have similar circumstances, then we can take a look at your case and determine whether we can get you your papers. And now is the time, guys, pursuing any legal option. I did see someone comment here that the reason for the registry is to get people to self-deport, and that's right. So what's happening is the device is closing, right? This administration is making it as uncomfortable as possible for immigrants to exist here. And even though the population in general, America, built on the backs of immigrants who also still benefit from the labor of immigrants, they have to be existing under these circumstances. That is, it's unimaginable that immigrants are still going to work. They're still carrying the burdens of the industries, construction and restaurants and hotels. They're still keeping these industries going under these very, very horrific circumstances. But my job is to find solutions. So this is where, if you need help, please get in touch with us so that we can determine what legal options there are. That is where your power lies, in the law. And in times like this, having legal representation is really essential, because we have the knowledge as attorneys that the average person does not have, to be able to navigate the complexities involved, like we did with this case with our client that just won his 10-year green card that everybody told him he could not get. All right, so I'm going to answer questions now that we've talked about the registry. Just always seek legal advice. Remember, this is not specific legal advice, it's general information. So if you want to know if the registry applies to you, please get in touch with us. And at the same time, we can also look at some options for you. All right, so I'm going to start on TikTok tonight, answer some questions quickly, and I'm going to move my way over to YouTube, Facebook, and then Instagram. Thank you so much, Lawrence. Okay, what form can I request to USCIS? I forgot how many children I filled on my green card application. So I'm not sure what the situation is. If you want to look at the form that you submitted, then you could FOIA it and possibly get a copy of the application you submitted if you want to see what you submitted. I applied for asylum in February, but I was called for fingerprint and interview in March. Yeah, so it sounds like you got your interview for asylum. So it's really about, your case, how strong it is, preparing for the interview. I petitioned for a spouse, got divorced. Can I get married with a different spouse and can I petition? That's possible, but first, before you file for divorce, make sure you're getting legal advice because there are ways to apply on your own. If you divorce that spouse because they mistreated you and they were a US citizen, then maybe we can look at other options where you don't have to necessarily, rush to get remarried. You can actually apply on your own, but I need to understand your facts here. So this is where you give us a call. We do an initial evaluation, and then after that, we're able to determine whether we can provide an option to you to help you get through the process. So get in touch with us. You can call 24/7. The office is after office hours now, but the staff is there to take all the information so we can call you back in the morning and get started on an evaluation. Are you seeing T visa approvals after 18 months? So far, no, but some of my cases are definitely approaching 18 months now. I applied for asylum in February, but I was called for fingerprint to answer that. Can people still apply for T visa? Yes, yes, yes. The option is still there. Make sure that you get in touch with us and we can quickly evaluate and get started. So, absolutely. So for clarity, the registry is for all undocumented? No. So undocumented individuals include those who came in with a visa, those who overstay their visa, and then also those who enter the country without permission. However, in this case, it covers certain individuals who were not fingerprinted. So, for example, if a child, I think one of the other big ones is children who were not fingerprinted. So, if they are turning 14, then, and you have a child here who's turning 14, whether they came on a visa or not, they have to register because they weren't fingerprinted previously. But now that they're 14, they have to be fingerprinted. The parents have to then add them to the registry within 30 days before their birthday or leading up to their birthday. So it just depends. But for the most part, I would say this: all people who entered with their visa, even if now you overstay the visa, you are already registered under the law, so you don't need to register again. Um, Please, are those who have overstayed their visas part of the alien registration? Under the law, those who overstay the visas are already categorized as registered. They already have you in the system. They've already run your fingerprinting in the past, so you do not need to register again. Can a deportation case be reopened once closed? Yes, absolutely. And that is one way to get it opened, reopened, terminated, and then you can move on to the legal process if you qualify for one. What form can I request to USAS? I forgot how many children. Okay, so you want to submit a FOIA. I'm trying to see if there are any new questions here. I-130 processing 10 years, what's the best step? It depends. So I-130, but who's petitioning for you? Who's the relative? There are a number of questions we have to ask there. And that can give us a hint as to the processing times. I just joined live stream. What is the registration all about? So I think I went over that. I think that was at the beginning. Does my husband qualify if he's here illegally for 18 years for a gold card? I don't know if that's a serious question. So we have to see the. I know we just heard about the gold card that's going to cost $5 million. They really have to change the law. Trump once again cannot give immigration benefits without actually changing the law. So we'll have to see there what the details entail if that ever becomes law. I'm F1 visa resident and I plan to get an EB2. What do you think about my chances? I don't know. Remember, the EB2 is based on very specific criteria that depends on your qualifications, whether or not you have exceptional ability, what your goals are, your experience, your means to achieve the goals, your job title, your education. Based on an F1 and you are applying for EB2, I could not tell you what your chances are there. But if you definitely want to figure out your best options, you can give us a call and we'll do an initial evaluation just to make sure you're on the right path to the EB2. And then you can schedule with the attorney to talk about strategy. Does this apply for Canadians who enter the country by plane? It's likely not. It likely does not apply to Canadians who enter by plane. Because you would have had to now if you were somehow not given any kind of I-94 entry or proof of entry that you enter the country, you may be required. How long does a green card holder, 10 years, can stay outside of the US? So at this time, right now, I would not recommend you stay out very long. Go out for short vacations, maybe week, 2, maybe 4 weeks, but do not be outside of the country. Don't be pushing it. Don't be trying to live outside of the country while you're trying to maintain your green card. No, it's not the time to test the system like that. They are taking away green cards if they find things like that. Maximum time is 6 months, but you're even pushing it with 6 months. So if they have a hunch you're living outside of the country, then that's going to be a problem. So do not, right now is not the time. Make sure you're staying put in the US, going for short vacations, make sure everything is, you have no doubts about your background and your green card when leaving the country. If you're in removal proceedings, you've gotten a notice to appear as a green card holder, do not go traveling. I have a child out of my marriage when my green card is going to expire in 2026. Give us a call. Let's talk and see what's happening there. Does disorderly conduct affect VAWA application? Give us a call, talk to us about it, and then we can go there. Or ask your attorney. If you've already filed a VAWA, you already have an attorney, make sure you talk to your attorney about it. It may affect it. just depending on the facts. And I know you said 240.20, which is the state statute, but what state? What's the nature of it? We'd have to look at the statute and the specific language of the statute first. What form can okay, so answer that. 10-year green cards, can they travel? You can travel, but don't be out of the country too long. I-130 approved, can I still deport me? Believe it or not, an approved I-130 could technically still deport you, but they would have to send you to court. They would put you through the court process first. And the I-130 can help the judge to close your case and push you back over to USCIS to finish your process, or to grant a continuance, which means they put the case on hold to see if you can get your benefits at USCIS. K3 visa, but never adjusted status. Visa expired, but stayed in the States. Is there a way to get status? Usually with K visa, once you've never adjusted status and you don't adjust status through the immediate US citizen relative, then they have really stiff penalties. And that means that they will stop you from doing any adjustment of status in the United States. So it's very, it's a very hard situation. What about an approved I-601? So that definitely puts you in a position where you can show that you are going through a process to get legal status. You're going about that process in the right way. And so you do have, to a certain extent, they will use their discretion to, they may use their discretion to refrain from detaining or deporting. It just depends on your facts, though, and what's going on in your case, your background. If my mom has a border crosser card from 1997, does it count? So they did mention border crossing. Make sure you look, because you can't take legal advice specifically from me, but I believe there was the border crossing card on there as well. But look at the specifics. What about someone who came in almost 30 years ago, overstayed visa? Then overstayed visa means registry is not required. What about a person that came in and was inspected? It depends on how you came in still. But if you are paroled, if you were paroled or granted, if you're paroled or granted I-94 to stay for a while and then you overstayed, that does not require the registry. Thanks so much for the love and the gifts. I really appreciate it. Congratulations on the I-130 being approved and the I-601. Congratulations. That must be a good feeling. It means you're very close to getting an approval on everything. Once you get approval on the I-601, it means that adjustment of status should be around the corner for you. What does actively reviewing case mean? Are they making decision? I've seen that sit there for a year before they've made a decision. So I would say don't hold your breath. It does mean that your case is ready for review and they don't need anything from you. So do you know how long motion to terminate with DHS are taking? So it could take 6 months. It could take even longer than that. I petitioned for a spouse, got divorced. Can I get married with a different spouse? So I'll be very careful with that. Let's learn your facts, figure out what's going on. You can always give us a call and we can get started that way. The number, if you scroll to the top of the screen on TikTok, in the comment section, you'll see name, so Attorney Sharifa, and the phone number. All right, so now I'm going to head on over to YouTube and Facebook and answer some questions there. I want to file a VAWA case. Do I still need to register? So if you file VAWA and you file adjustment of status at the same time, then you do not need to register. I-130, and you have to get a waiver for overstaying. So this is where you should definitely give us a call. There is no waiver for overstaying necessarily. There's the I-601A waiver. So if you're referring to that, then yes. But if the I-601A does not apply to you, there really isn't any waiver for overstaying. So, Shilpi, this is where it's very important to get in touch with us specifically so we can talk or talk to your attorney. Have you gotten T visa approval after 18 months time frame? If not, what's the next step? So keep in mind that we don't control processing times. They tend to be within the 18-month period, but it's possible sometimes they go over. So it just depends on the case. Came to the US on a CR1 visa in December, waiting for my green card in the mail. Can I travel abroad? I would not leave without getting the green card. Don't risk that. Get your green card first, make sure everything is good with it, then you can leave. Um, Okay, the alien registration is mandatory. Yes. So right now, it is something they've said is mandatory. So yes, as of now, we'll have to see if there's a challenge or if it gets stopped. But as of now, it's mandatory. So I got married in 2023. I received my work permit, social. They asked for my medical records. I sent it, haven't heard anything from them. You may still get the waiver of the interview. So we'll see about that. And it sounds like it's marriage based, so you might get the waiver. I just got married to a US citizen. What form I have to submit, and I'm over stay B1, B2. So it's not just about submitting forms. This is why you don't hear me getting into so much detail here because the stakes are really high and you don't want to get it wrong. So give us a call and let's talk in an appointment about how to move forward because um, the stakes are too high to just talk about forms here. You want to make sure you're doing it right. What does it mean when your I-485 case transfers and state's new office has jurisdiction? It just means they're switching around the caseload right now. After you receive your receipt notice from the USS, how long for a decision? I would say 12 to 18 months. But keep in mind, I don't control processing times. And as we've seen the new administration come in, we might see longer processing times. So we'll have to see. But I've said 12 to 18 months right now. Is it true president is going to stop marriage-based green card? I have not heard that. As a matter of fact, in everything he has talked about, he has always mentioned marriage-based green cards would stay, but he does talk about ending other relatives, like outside of the nuclear family. So, like, you know, the aunts, the person applying for their sibling, children, their spouse, or the parents, U.S. citizens applying for adult children. So I'm seeing other categories, but he's never said spousal. That's the one that I think is the safest one, is a spouse, the marriage-based green cards. I have a T visa application pending. Can I travel overseas with my current H-1B? No. Uh, Once you do have a T visa pending, if you leave the country, you lose the eligibility for the T visa. Very important, you know that. So at this time, you may have the H-1B, but if you're applying for the T visa, then you should not be leaving. But keep in mind, I'm not your attorney. You need to talk to your attorney about this because I don't know your case. But generally, when you have a T visa, you are supposed to show that you've been continuously in the United States, and leaving is going to definitely be a problem. Hi there, Mike. It's nice to see you. Travis, nice to see you. Veronica, good evening. Good night. Snuggles, it's a trap to deport you. That's it. So, yeah, the registry is not there to benefit immigrants. That's for sure. Um, Are the T visa approvals coming in exactly on the 18-month mark? No. So keep in mind that we can never say it's coming in on the 18-month mark. And sometimes I get the vibe that some people ask me this to sort of hold me to it. If I say it, then it's going to happen in 18 months. Keep in mind that I can only estimate based on my experience, but I can never tell you something is going to come exactly on the 18-month mark. Oh boy, I wish I had that power. I wish I did, especially now. I wish I had the power to say it's going to happen 18 months, no more than that. And miraculously, it does happen. I do believe in manifestation, but at the same time, I don't control, I don't have any control over that. I wish I did, though. So keep in mind that the estimated times I'm giving you is based on my experience. It's not based on, um, you know, on exact. Uh, calculations. If I had to leave for an emergency for a week, it depends. Even with the I-551 stamp. All right. So if you have an emergency, keep in mind that I don't know your case. I'm not your attorney. If you have an emergency, though, you really do have to bear in mind the risk involved. Yes, you have an I-551 stamp. But even if you have an I-551 stamp, do you have anything in your background that's going to raise concerns to an officer when you're coming in? Are you still going from a 2-year to a 10-year? And could there possibly be some time you're outside of the country? They deny that, right? And you're outside of the country, which can open up a can of worms. Are you in removal? Do you have a criminal record? Is there anything of concern with your green card? For example, if you have an I-551 stamp, it means you haven't gotten your green card yet. Why is that? What's going on? What's the holdup? So I would just be very careful. Yes, you have an emergency. If you have an emergency, then you have to make the decision about whether it's worth the risk that you're also going to face. I do understand that emergencies involve family. It involves all sorts of priorities in your life, and it's hard to balance those. But you always have to keep in mind the risk, right? Because just because it's an emergency doesn't mean that everything else is going to stop and accommodate you for the emergency. Unfortunately, that's not the way things are right now. So if you're going to leave, you really have to understand the risk and determine whether it's worth the risk. Um, How long is the waiting time for citizenship 2025? So right now we're still seeing 2 to 6 months. I anticipate though across the board we're going to see longer processing times just because they have gotten they have terminated 400 people in Homeland Security. So they're cutting people left, right, and center. They're freezing hiring, which means that it's going to take even longer for agents to, adjudicate these applications. Does the credit history affect my citizenship? Not usually. All right. So now I'm on Instagram. All right. Can a person with a VAWA pending case get deported? It's unlikely because they have to wait for you to go through the VAWA process first. Then make sure that you are, if you aren't approved, then you have to go through a separate process to even get to deportation. If you're approved, then you get protection. You get official protection, right? You get your paper, you get your work permit. So while it's pending, they have to give time to decide first. And then, hopefully you're approved and you don't even have to think about that possibility. Okay, I'll look out for your call. Oh, thank you for explaining that. Yes, I do go from one platform to the next. So thanks for your patience. Can a person with a VAWA pending case get deported? So I answered that. It's unlikely. Um, what's the news on DACA? Any updates? Unfortunately, not. Where DACA is still, it is still there, but no new DACAs are being issued, and it has been invalidated as a legal program. So that means that we can expect at any time that the Trump administration is going to terminate the DACA program. He has vowed that he is going to protect DACA recipients, but we have to believe it when we see it. So, and one interesting thing is that the registry uh, doesn't necessarily exempt DACA recipients or TPS holders. They still have to apply for the registry if they enter the country without permission and they were not registered. So why are you, okay, so you were wondering why I wasn't reading questions. I put in a work permit on the 10th of January and have not received first notice. So just I usually start with tracking the application. I usually save proof of delivery, look to see, make sure it was delivered. If it wasn't, then you have a problem. You need to locate that package. If it was, then usually it's a matter of just waiting for it. Can a person to answer that? What about an approved VAWA waiting for adjustment of status be approved? No registry requirement is there because you have a work permit under the VAWA approval. You probably have a work permit under adjustment of status, so you're fine there. People with work permits are exempt from registering as well. Is an EAD a form of documentation? Yes, yes, yes. So it qualifies as a registry. 2-year green card, travel abroad. It depends. It depends. Where are you in your 2-year green card process? Are you renewing now? There anything new in your background that's of concern? Have you gotten divorced? Have you been outside of the country too long? Have you been placed in removal proceedings? Have you submitted your application on time so that they don't refer you to court? That is where it's going to tell us whether what the risks are. If you have an elevated risk while you're traveling. What are the benefits of registration? None. The benefits, I would say, if you're going to look the benefits here, and it wouldn't really be a matter of benefits. I would say it's really just a matter of um, complying with a requirement. There's no benefit outside of knowing that you complied with a legal requirement. So the benefit, it's not about benefits because there are no benefits. They don't grant you any benefits. They said they would issue like a proof of registry, and those immigrants who are 18 years or older should take that with them as if it's identification. But no, that it's does not accord you anything. You give an ICE officer that registration, they can take you in. As a matter of fact, now they know you're on the registry. They know it's likely you were undocumented before the registry. And I would say it's more likely that you're going to be detained hard on you, having that proof of registry. You know, it is a requirement, but what you need to do first is figure out, are you required to register for this? And if you have doubts, you can always give us a call and we can do an initial evaluation and then answer your questions about the registry, whether you are required or not. Can a person answer that? If you get removal letter, but you got it, are you safe? If you get removal letter, but you got it, are you safe? If you got a removal order, you don't have to register on the registry. But, of course, you have to make sure you comply with that notice to appear to go to court. Can I travel to Africa with an American green card? Yes, yes, but make sure, as I said before, you have to be very careful about your background. Make sure there's nothing of concern. Make sure you don't stay outside of the country in Africa, a country in Africa too long. Make sure that you have the paperwork on the side of the country in Africa to let you into the country, because having a green card alone doesn't mean that you get to go into any country you want without a visa. So you have to also check those requirements. Is EAD a form of documentation? Yeah, for the registry, for purposes of the registry, yes. The registry sounds fishy. I want you to be, even though it is a legal requirement, you also should just be empowered with information about what the registry is there for. It is not there to give you benefits like a work permit or legal status. It's not there to give you a paper that's going to exempt you from detention. So please keep that in mind. It doesn't give you any benefits to live and work here. It's just basically putting you on a list of individuals who previously were unregistered in the United States. So that's basically what it's doing. I filed I-751 back in September of 2023 and recently got divorced. While I-751 is still pending, should I wait it out or see how this plays out? Don't see how it plays out. Know how it's going to end. I have seen people try to play it out and end up in immigration court being deported because they just did not understand how the I-751 process worked. Get in touch with us. We do this. We've done this for our clients. We just got an approval. Our client is now ready to go for citizenship. So had she not done that, taken the time to do that, get legal advice, get ahead of the game, submit all the documents she was supposed to, she would have probably been in removal proceedings by now. So here's the deal. When it comes to going from the 2-year to the 10-year, and say you get married, you're living life good, and then say 1 year into your 2-year green card, you have problems, you get divorced. Then it's time to remove the conditions on your 2-year to get the 10-year. But guess what? You have to jointly apply with your spouse, and your spouse is not there. What are you supposed to do in this case? You're supposed to apply for a waiver. If you apply without a waiver and then you don't have your spouse jointly on it, they are going to deny that application and you're going to be sent to deportation. Another thing is, in this case, if you got divorced while your I-751 is still pending, so important you know this. Do not wait it out to see how things play out. You need to disclose that you're divorced, that it didn't work out. You need to show evidence that your marriage was real, even though it didn't work out. And you need to submit that formal waiver. If that formal waiver is not on file, they're going to pull up that divorce, by the way. So at the time the officers are going to make the decision, the officer is going to know you're divorced. But if they don't see the waiver on file, denied, right? That also, we had a client who, throughout the process, she was going through the process fine with her spouse, and then they divorced. About 3 months after applying, they started divorce proceedings. My client was wise enough to seek my counsel. She is now a 10-year green card holder and ready to get citizenship because she didn't wait it out. Had she, and we had to go into that final interview, by the way, without her spouse, but because we submitted the waiver, she got through the interview and we got approval on her 10-year a day later. So it's essential that you make sure you submit the waiver, and we can help with that. So we have made this process less stressful for our clients. So make sure you give us a call. Don't wait it out. Make sure you cover yourself. Could you please, please help me, I think. To file petition under EB2, I have done masters, around 8 years of experience. So give us a call and let's talk about your background, your experience, your goals here, and then we'll be able to move forward to see if you qualify for the national interest waiver. Okay, can you comment on Trump's golden card that he spoke about yesterday? Like, how do you think it would affect F1 students? He was saying something about how employers can pay for some people to stay. So keep in mind that is not law right now. And Trump cannot just get up and say he's going to create the golden card. The golden card is about $5 million. That's what he said. If he's going to work with Congress to overhaul the immigration system and get a golden card program in place, he said it would be about 5 million. So this would not be for your average Joe to get. It's not going to apply to F1 students. It's not, and I doubt any company is going to fork out $5 million, unless of course it's a very, very high status employee, like a chief executive officer of a company. But they're not going to fork out $5 million per employee. So let's see what happens there. But right now, keep in mind that's not the law. It's not the law, and he has to go through Congress to get that done. What about the I-134A? So yeah, those parole programs are on hold. Any programs where they were granted parole through family reunification has been put on pause. And anybody who was paroled into the country, so they had parole programs for Haitians, Venezuelans, certain other countries, those are terminated. So I filed for the I-130. Do I have to register? So the I-130 is not one of the petitions that were listed, but if you entered with a visa and you end up, even if you overstayed or if you got an I-94, then you do not need to register. What about TPS? So TPS, if you entered without permission, TPS is going to be required to register. So TPS, DACA holders, parolees, parolees were paroled into the country, so they would not be required. But TPS who entered the country without permission, DACA, same thing. Do you represent a person if they have a USCIS interview? So we only go to interviews, necessary interviews with our clients, but right now we don't offer it as an independent service. No. So what I would say though is get in touch with us, because if we do take your case and you have an interview, then we can talk about that. Thank you. Thanks so much for your appreciation. Yes, so anybody who came into the country without permission but got work permit social, they don't have to register. And by the way, that goes for some TPS holders. If you have, or so if you're applying for TPS, then and you haven't gotten your work permit yet, you may have to register. But if you have TPS, you have your work permit. DACA, you have your work permit, it means you don't have to register because you have your work permit. So look at the list. Make sure you go to uscis.gov, look at the list. And if you're really in doubt, give us a call and let's talk about your options here. All right. Will my asylum case affect my parents' EB3's process? It depends on the facts here. I wouldn't be able to say. I have 10-year green card, but my wife and I are divorced. Can I file my citizenship alone? Yes, it's absolutely. Now, you cannot apply based on marriage to a citizen, so you can't apply for the shorter period, which is the 3 years if you're married to a U.S. citizen living in marital union to a U.S. citizen. If you're divorced, that's not going to work. But if you've gotten to 5 years, then yeah, sure. Can I travel to Africa? So I answered that. And then I'm going to just go here quickly and then I'm going to head out. So it's a separate fee to attend an interview with clients. So I don't talk about fees here. Just because it really is on a case-by-case basis. What you can do is if you have any concerns, you want us to take your case, then you can always give us a call and we can do an initial evaluation. Then from there, advise you and move forward. And then we give you a quote on everything. Usually we offer flat fees. And to make flat fees, we have payment plans. So, but we have to understand what your case is like first before we can, I can tell you about fees. I had a 48-month letter and I'm still married to a US citizen. Can I file for citizenship? So yeah, there is a strategy behind that where you can apply for citizenship at the same time that you're applying for your 2-year to 10-year. Sometimes it pushes them to just do a dual interview where they take care of your green card first and jump right into a citizenship interview. But you have to make sure you meet all the requirements: continuous presence, physical presence, good moral character. the period of time that you've lived with your spouse, if you're doing a 3 year, the period of time that you've had your green card for. If you must show that you've had your green card for 5 years, or to start 4 years and 9 months to be able to apply for the citizenship. If you're married to a US citizen, you're living in marital union with a US citizen, it's 3 years. I-45 spouse of green card holder can be approved before the final action date on visa bulletin. No. So that only, there is no date for spouses of US citizens, but for the spouse of green card holder, usually it's the date specifies when they are issuing, or the on or after the date, that's when they're issuing the green cards. US citizen parent sponsor adult unmarried children. I-130 pending since 2020. When will I-130 approve? So it sounds like they're 21 or over, so you're looking at 5 to 7 years from filing. How long after you apply for the U visa would we get a response? It can range from 2 to 8 weeks, just depending on how busy it is, and it is busy right now. Can two-person petition for the same person? Yes. Now, keep in mind, that's very general. So keep in mind that my answer is going to be very general. Generally, that can be done, but we need to know, is that a good idea? We need to know facts to be able to elaborate. This is where you can definitely give us a call and talk to us. How long does it usually take to get a response on open, removal, order, motion? So it really depends on the attorneys who have to respond to that motion, or the judge and their schedule. So I don't really have a specific timeline. It just depends on them. How long does it take to get a work permit now? So it depends. It could be 3 to 6 months in family base. It could be 12 months to 18 months for T visa. It's a year and a half for the U visa. So it all depends. Do you need to register if you have an order of deportation? No, because they already have a record of you. How long does it usually take to get a response on? I'll answer that. Is it a good idea to apply for US citizenship, and how long is the process? So I would say generally it's yes, get started on looking at citizenship. Is it a good idea for you? I don't know. That is why we have the consultation, to be able to talk to you about your specific facts, to understand whether you qualify to apply. Is it a good idea to apply for citizenship now? I don't know your background, and a lot of it is going to hinge on your background. So get in touch with us and we can talk to you about your qualifications. I had the 48-month extension letter and I'm still married to a US citizen. So I answered that extensively. I'm removing conditions with extension. I have a stamp I-551 in my passport. Is it safe to travel? I would be very careful. You may get some nerve-wracking developments when you're coming in. You may be pushed into secondary inspection, and it depends on your facts. Do you have any complicated facts? Are you divorced? Do you have criminal charges? Have you been referred to immigration court? If you're outside of the country, could you possibly be denied while you're outside of the country? These would be the things we have to evaluate to answer the question. I have an asylum case and I'm married to a US citizen, American woman, but I entered through the border. So yes, you entered through the border, but did you come in undocumented? Did you come uninspected? Did they give you a parole at the border? That's what we'd really have to understand. US citizen parent sponsor, answer that. So, what about US citizen travel on different country passport that they have? Would it be a problem coming back? So, I have heard. So, in the legal community, that has not been much of an issue on our end. But I have heard about people having issues traveling out on one passport and coming back with a US passport. I'll look out for more information on that, but I don't have much right now. Will spouses of US citizens still be getting green cards? Yes, that is still there. So jump on it now. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to head out. I have answered all questions and I need to get ready for bed and get ready for another busy day. Thank you again for all your time. These are great questions. I always appreciate your questions. Um, Now, what you can do is just like, subscribe. Um, make sure you follow me so that when you do see me come on, and if you're free, you can join me as well. You can also get updates because I do anything that I see right away that you need to know. I am on it releasing videos about it. So make sure you also like, subscribe, hit the notification bell on YouTube so that you can get up to date information. I focus on options and solutions here. So you can always count on the information I'm giving, and I will always look for solutions and ways that you can gain legal status here. So have a good night, everybody, and just try to take it easy. We're taking it one day at a time, but we are with hard work, we'll be victorious. And God certainly gave me a sign today when that case came through, and it was truly my miracle case. So it's just giving me more energy, more drive to go after what my clients deserve, and that stability and safety here in the US. One thing I'll say is give us a call. If at this time, I know it's a scary time, but we are offering a safe space for you to talk to us. If you're in a situation where you feel trapped, you feel as if you were duped into the situation. No, you're working for the person, you're working in their house, you're not being paid, and you know this is wrong, but now with everything going on, you're being threatened or you're just fearful, it's time to give us a call because you may be in a situation that qualifies you for the T visa and to get protection from deportation and instead be able to move forward safely here. But we need to talk to you to figure out those options, and it's confidential and safe. You can call us at any point 24/7. The number is going across the screen on YouTube, Facebook, um, and Instagram. Look at the number they're going across. Go ahead and call that number. You can call right now and you will get an answer. The staff, and we are all very close knit. So, yes, my staff, they're working throughout the night to make sure that they are catching everybody that needs help. So the staff will definitely take your information, and then we will have intakers call you to do an initial evaluation and then get scheduled with our attorneys. So do that now. We are trying to create a system where we can help as many people as possible, and it's working. So I am spreading the word. Get on it, and let's talk about solutions. Have a good one, guys. Have a good night. Bye bye.